Welcome to the boardroom. Today I have Ronnie Anderson, of Star Trek Celebrity Coaches. That's just the start. Ronnie has done several things. I'm going to allow him to introduce himself and tell you a little bit of his background. My son actually told me about Ronnie and what he's doing here in Austin, working on the biggest movie studio in the United States. So Hollywood, watch out. Texas is in the house. Texas on the way. Yeah. And this is the man that's bringing it to Texas. Even though he ain't from here, we embrace him as a brother. So this is Ronnie Anderson. So Ronnie, can you start off by telling us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your background, how this vision came about?
Well, I started out back in the late 70s. I started out in the late 70s. My wife and I got into the music business after I invented a contact lens cleaner, and I sold it, got it FDA approved and sold it, and then I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I know I was ready to be done with medicine. We were broke when we got FDA approval on Restore contact lens
Hold on,
cleaner.
I got to stop you, because he said he was broke. Now, his wife said, Mrs. Natalie, she said that when they sold that, they made like $50,000, and this was in the 70s, and they were balling, just so y'all know. But of course, when you get the first check, it's always, now what are we going to do to make this work? So what did you guys do from there?
Okay, well, we sold that product, and we actually sold it for $250,000. And
I knew she was modest. Go ahead.
Yeah, she was being, but we parlayed that into what we have today. That was really the beginning of giving us the seed money that we needed. And at the time we thought, well, AIDS and cholesterol, that's a big problem out here. Now everybody's worried. So we were going to do mobile blood testing.
Okay.
And so we bought the bus and we bought all the equipment and all that. And the insurance company said it's going to be $50,000 a year. And as we calculated everything, and said, yeah, okay, that'll work. It came back, it was $250,000 a year, only guaranteed for 1 year. And if I didn't want to do that, I had to associate with a hospital. Well, I called the hospital. They said, yeah, we'll take half of it. I go, no, the test costs $6. We're only selling it for $12. They go, okay, we want half of it. I go, there's no way for me to make money. So here I am with this bus. Fortunately, my wife's godmother was a booking agent, and she hooked us up with the Mandrells. We went out, did a little concert with them. We thought, oh, this is pretty cool. And she goes, listen, I got this corporate guys that want to go out for a retreat. I said, okay. And so I took Kroger guys out on a corporate retreat. I had the time of my life. I was taking these guys to Shooters, and we pulled up in front of Shooters, and I said, guys, sit in here just a minute. And I went inside and I said, hey, manager, I got the George Michael band out here. Now, George ain't with them, but the band's here. They want to come in. So we go in there, and pretty soon we're all sitting there, and the band says, hey, we got the George Michael band in here, and let's get them up here to play. One of them was a high school drummer. He gets on the drum set. They sing, twist, and shout, bring the house down. Everybody has a good time. I come home to my wife. I said, I know what I want to do in life. They gave me more tip than I charged for the whole thing. I said, okay, now this works. And from that, we decided that, after we rented a few more times, we said, let's get a new bus. So we go to the bus shop in Columbus, Ohio, and we're sitting there, and we're getting ready to leave. We look at the bus, and I hear the gate lady behind the desk. She goes, well, Mr. Stallone, we don't rent buses. We only sell new ones. And I look like the Exorcist. Man, my head spun around. I'm looking at her, and she goes, there's a guy right here that does. I get on the phone. I go to Philadelphia. I start doing Rocky movies. He tells everybody in Hollywood. End of the story. We just blew it up from there.
So Stallone was your first big client?
First big client.
That's a great start.
Yeah, it was a great start.
That's a great start.
Be at right place, right time.
So when I was doing a little bit of research for this interview, and I looked at some of the clients you had, I was blown away. Will Smith, Jennifer Lopez, Bill Clinton, I think Clint Black. I'm sure I'm missing some people. Can you kind of just give us a little bit of your client list?
Well, of course, Will was the guy that really, really put us on the map. I mean, we did with Sly, but Will really took us over the top because he was just such a well-known figure. And he came to me and he goes, "Listen, I want to build my own trailer." And I said, "Hey, I got this idea for this 2-story." He goes, "Oh, that sounds good." So I started to do the preliminaries, and he sent people out, and we did drawings and all that. And he goes, "No, let's build that." And that's how we did it. We built the first 2-story to get trailer together, and I sold it to him, and he had it for a year or so. And every time he went to use it, all the batteries were dead and everything. So he says, "Ron, nobody's maintaining this." I go, "Well, I'll buy it back and rent it to you." He goes, "Okay." So I bought it back and then I rented it to him, and that works out better for me financially, and him, because now he got it. And then pretty soon, other people said, "Hey, I want to do that too." I said, "Oh, okay." Well, we built it to the point that we couldn't borrow any more money to do it. Bank wouldn't give us any more, even though we had all these clients signed up and locked in. They said, "No, you ain't big enough for that." So we just kept building it up slow like that, and just kept on with our little smaller fleet. We did grow some from there in volume of units, but in reality, I never really wanted to be a giant, big 100-unit company. We had 50 buses at one time, and that was enough for me. Because every night I had some musician here, some musician there, doing this, doing that, and I just didn't want to get back to that level. I was happy to stay small, exclusive, and the very best at what I do. And pretty soon the TV companies come and say, "Hey, you're building this unique product and you've got this clientele. We want to put you on TV." So, okay, I don't care about being on TV. I'm not about being a movie star. I'm the guy on the
I
other
didn't
side.
even see that doing my research. So you guys had a TV show?
Well, we've done about 40 reality shows. I mean, different things like uh, extreme RVs, celebrity RVs. Where they just do an interview about us. Right. They come in, they shoot it like a 1 or 2 days shoot.
Okay.
About us in a building, and then we did one for Simon Cowell on TV. We built the whole thing on TV. We did one for Will on TV. Built the whole thing on TV. So those shows aired, and then of course from that point, boom, and everybody started seeing us. And then the big thing that really put our name out there was when that lady in New York complained about. She said, "You're blocking my view. Will Smith's 2-story trailers blocking my view out my window." Well, of course, my friend called me from Singapore. He goes, "Ron, I'm standing at the newsstand, and honestly, your company is on the front page of every single thing in this magazine, in this news."
Wow! So that's you got all this free publicity over a complaint.
Yeah, and you know who got the biggest portion of that? Men in Black 3, because all it said was Will Smith filming Men in Black 3 in New York City. Now everybody knows there's a Men in Black 3 coming out.
Wow.
Yeah. So I mean, they weren't happy about it. Will wasn't happy because anything that sheds a bad light or looks like he's trying to be a Mr. Show-Off, because Will Smith is not a show-off.
Okay.
I mean, I could have put work benches and park benches inside there. As long as it functioned, he wouldn't have cared. He's not that type of pretentious, out there guy.
What year was this?
Oh my God! Now you really asked me. That was probably 10, 12 years ago. That's when that happened in New York.
No, because Men in Black had to be 05.
Yeah. Was it? Okay, 15 years ago.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Men in Black 3 was the one.
Men in Black 3. Okay.
That's when we were filming that. But that kind of gave us a world presence. And then, of course, they start calling me to do TV shows in China and in London and all over the world. And, we would do those shows, and that kept the phone ringing, kept things going. That was our biggest form of publicity.
I thought so. Okay, and now I'm feeling like I didn't do my research properly. So I thought you sold the company in like '99. So even though after you sold the company, you maintained a presence. Is that what I'm understanding?
No. We sold the bus company in 1999. All the 50 rock and roll buses.
Okay. We
got out of there. And it was funny because the people that bought us, Natalie and I are sitting in the room. We said, "Hey, listen, we're ready to go. We would like to just take some time off, and we'll sell you that whole thing with the sale of Will's trailer. We'll sell it to you for $1 million." And they go, oh, no, we don't want that. My wife and I look across the table like, what? No, what's wrong with you? I mean, you already have a unit sold that you could get a big chunk of your money back. Nah, we don't believe in that 2-story trailer thing. So okay. So they didn't buy it. So now we had that. We had, of course, finished building it, and then as soon as we built that, other people started wanting it and wanting it and wanting it. So we started building them, for other people too, and
Okay.
our own rental fleet. Then we started our own fleet of them that we rented out to the industry.
So and so now is that where you've transitioned to? Now we're sitting at your home, beautiful home, I might add.
Thank you.
And you're going to do an RV park here,
Yeah.
an actual 7-star. I know y'all heard of 5-star and 7-star.
Yeah.
So this is totally next level. Actually, depending on, I have a diverse clientele. So I have the guys who are just starting in business and the guys who are, uh, you know, I guess the word would be as you are, balling. So
Oh, not at all, man. That ain't it.
okay.
No, that ain't me. No,
that ain't.
I'm not like that at all.
He's modest. I've had a great day with him. Got an opportunity to go tour the 560 acre.
560 acres is what Alton Butler from Line 204.
Uh-huh.
He and I are partners on it. And I want to say one thing right up front. You've been to the zoo and you've been seen a chimpanzee, right?
Yes, sir.
And you've been to the zoo and you've seen a big gorilla.
Yes,
well,
sir.
okay, I'm the chimpanzee and he's the 5,000-pound gorilla.
Oh, okay.
So he's the big dog in this.
Okay.
I'm just, I'm the guy that we've been friends for 15 years, and he's kind of letting me come through with it. I mean, we're both investors in it and all that, and the whole park and everything, but he's got the majority of the thing. So,
right. Well, the good thing is you're at the table. So just being at the table means a lot. I'm happy to be sitting at you just to be at the table. I'm not at the table. I'm just happy to be next to the man that's next to the man. Some of you guys gonna know that's Robin Harris.
Yeah.
So, how did this come about? Like five. I don't even know what is the. I think it's 100 and some acres that Universal Studios sits on. So you guys are you're going to be three times bigger than Universal Studios.
Probably 5 or 6 times bigger.
It's 5 or 6 times bigger.
Yeah,
okay.
Well, most studios are somewhere in the range of, I think Warner Brothers is 51 acres. I mean, most of the biggest studios don't have that much land. And here's the advantage we have with this much land: we can spread out. We can, now we're not going to put our studios back to back like with shared walls, because now you have to soundproof that wall, and somebody's got a big rumble going on next door. All our studios, you'll be able to drive all the way around each soundstage. So the insulation quality and the cost of doing that is severely reduced. So that advantage, and then we have all this land to build backlots and to do. We're having in New York City, we're having a Wisteria Avenue, we're having a desert scene, a Saudi Arabian type of place. We'll have a variety of backlots because we have the space to do that.
Okay. Well, I mean, for me, I started off wanting to be in the entertainment industry. I wanted to be an actor. I thought, I can do this. I thought it was so fun. It's something I wanted to do. But at that time, everybody said you have to go to California. I did go to California for a small time, and I realized at that time I wasn't willing to make the sacrifice. So I think it's a situation with guys that are, and that think like I did at that time, when they're that young. This is a great opportunity for anybody that's in Texas, because you have Atlanta. Of course, Tyler Perry's built his huge studio there.
What a great guy, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah. What you see,
I've read his book. I've never met him. I've read his book. And
Will Smith, what you see is what you get. Tyler Perry, what you see is what you get. The Rock, what you see is what you get. That man, all three of those men are what you see. There's a lot of fake stuff going on in Hollywood. We know that not everybody is how they appear. Those three men are exactly what you see is what you get.
Okay. Well, I can say that I haven't seen, but what I've gotten from Ronnie Anderson is, nothing but joy, love. And I have, this is my first time meeting you, but I just have to tell you, I have the utmost respect for you. I'm overly gracious that you've invited me to your home. I had an opportunity to take a look at the 560 acre studio. that's going to be right here in Austin. Actually, it's in Bastrop, right outside of Austin. But most importantly to me, it's in the state of Texas. I know you're not from Texas, but we embrace you in Texas.
Yeah.
Just for bringing, between you and Alton, and all the other investors for having the vision to bring this to the state of Texas, and I'm sure Austin as well as Bastrop. We're thankful for it, so we appreciate you.
We're glad to be here.
So how did this come about, though? Where did you guys? Who came up with the idea? I don't know. Were you just an investor, or were you a part of the? Were you one of the visionaries of this?
Well, as I said, Alton and I have been friends for 15 years. He goes, Ron, I really love Austin. I want to come to Austin. And he said, will you find me a house? I said, okay. So my daughter and I went out and found him a house he bought it sight unseen on our word up on Lake Travis. And, so he started coming here and he goes, man, I just love Austin. He goes, and then about probably a year ago, he said, and everybody's so fed up with California, all of this stuff. He goes, I can't even get in my studio. I've got so many homeless RVs parked in front of my building and everything. He goes, they're hanging clothes on my walls and on my thing. He goes, I'm just tired of this, man. I'm tired. I want to go. And so does everybody else. And I said, well, he goes, I need to come to Austin. And I said, well, let's do that, man. And he says, all right, let's get it going. And consequently, he came here. We searched out people. We found the land. We went to the city, talked to them. We talked to the county. We talked to everybody, the film commission. Obviously, something of this magnitude, which will be currently the largest movie studio in the United States. When we start this, now not to say that somebody's not going to build a bigger one at some point, but right now, we got the biggest studio in the United States.
So I know you guys are permitting and everything like that, but just kind of, can you give us an estimate of about, a time frame of when we see? I think you're going to do it 120 acres first and 120 acres.
Right.
So when are you guys looking to start that the first part?
We actually hope to break ground within the next 6 months on that.
Okay.
We hope to, if not sooner. We're going to start out with the event business first, and because the event, we have a big, gigantic warehouse in California full of event equipment. There are no events. There's no events in California whatsoever. But there are here. So we want to move that here first, get those buildings up, because those will immediately go to work and start putting people to work. From there, we're going to continue with the sound stages. We're going to continue with everything. Everything's going to be built as fast as we can build it. We're trying not to take outside angel money and all that kind of stuff. So Alton is pretty well funded within himself, and so we're going to try to do that. And the only big constraint we're going to have is probably money.
Okay.
Is trying to do it ourselves rather than bring in people. But you can't always build a big project like this without somebody.
Well, obviously, I was going to say what would be a reason why you wouldn't bring in people, but that was a dumb question.
No, there are no dumb questions. You told me that.
You know what I did say?
He told me that earlier.
I guess I know the answer to my question. I mean, obviously, the more people you have, the more people you have to answer to. The more people have a say-so.
That's the key thing. Alton knows how to run a studio. He's very successful in Los Angeles. He knows how to run everything. We don't need anybody to tell us how to run it. And we don't need anybody to come in and say, oh, well, I think you should do this soundstage. I think you should do this. We don't need that advice.
Okay.
Let us alone. You want to give us money and just take your percentage and go away? Okay, come on, bring it on. Now, that's the type of person we want. If you want to come in here and try to tell us how to do what we already know how to do, we probably don't need your money.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, based on, I don't know Alton, but based on just my conversation with you and just based on what you've told me about him, I'm pretty confident you guys are going to find those people that are willing, just based on your track record and experience, to come in and do exactly what you're saying.
Yep.
And we're praying that it's as profitable as possible and that it brings we're able to compete with Hollywood and everywhere else in the world, not just in this country, right here in the state of Texas. I think it's, I've always said, I've always no, I don't have an issue. I'm so proud of and happy for Tyler Perry in Atlanta.
Oh yeah, me too.
You know, the guys in Warner Brothers, Universal. I don't know them, but I mean, hey, I can only marvel at what they've been able to accomplish, and it's just one of those things where people have to here in the state of Texas, which could be I can't think of what size country we would be, but
Yeah.
We'd be a country.
Yep.
And so for us not to have this and to just be getting it,
Yep.
I'm thinking it's like, wow, it was a long time coming, but I'm glad it's here.
Yeah, and I'm glad Tyler has done it, man, because he's a very deserving person.
Absolutely.
He attributes everything to God, just like most of us should. Or if you
do.
don't, you might as well realize that it is. But I do. I realize
Right.
it. Alton realizes it. Tyler Perry realizes it. Will Smith realizes it. If you have that support within you, you can pretty much do anything in this world.
And I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
And so we were talking, and you said that I asked you, where did you get these ideas from? What happens? And you said, boom, God just taps you on the shoulder at 3:00 in the morning.
Exactly.
And so just happens, and you have these ideas. So how are you able to retain them? Is it so powerful that when God gives it to you, you just remember it, or because I have to sit down and write it down and keep a tablet. I just jump up and write things down.
Oh no, he said, "Get your butt out of bed. We got to talk." It's it's like I feel like a bolt of lightning hit me. That's how the 2-story idea came about. Was 3:00 in the morning. Backyard satellite dishes, 3:00 in the morning. Restore contact lens cleaner, 3:00 in the morning. God wakes me up and says, "Hey, got an idea. Let's go."
So hold on, because we mentioned the satellite. Can you share what happened with the satellite thing now?
I was one of the first guys to have a company that sold backyard satellite dishes. Nobody even heard of having a backyard satellite dish, and we were getting 150 phone call, 125, 150 phone calls a day to buy them. The banks had no clue, because they were $12,000 then. Bank couldn't get them financed, so I didn't do any money with it. I lost money on the whole deal. Mm-hmm. My 2 partners went on to form a huge satellite company and became millionaires. So I was just in it too early, So
what did you learn from that? I mean, because normally we learn from our mistakes. What did you learn from that particular business experience?
Well, I learned that you can be in too early. You gotta lay your groundwork for how you're going to finance these things, because people couldn't at that time afford $12,000. Or very few people. We did sell them, but very few people had that kind of money to lay out 30 years ago, 35 years ago. And so the one thing I learned is that you've got to get that in line first, And my biggest lesson in greed, absolute greed, I was 24 years old. I invented the Restore contact lens cleaner. I had people offering me millions of dollars for it. And I said, well, and I went to one of the big drug companies, and I said, hey, we were negotiating millions of dollars. And I said, I'm going to go to the other one, see if I can get any more. Well, I went to the other one. I called them up. And I said, oh, yeah, they flew me in there, everything. And I'm sitting in the board meeting with 25 guys and me. CEO walks in. He goes, Ron, we've heard a lot about your product, and we're interested. He goes, what do you want? And I said, well, this company offered me this. I want to see if you offer me any more. And he looks at me and he goes, stands up and walks out. The guy comes back to me and I go, what's up? He goes, he and the president of that company are best friends. They both threw me out. They both threw me out the door. Greed. And from that day, I was 24 years old. I have never done a deal of any kind that it wasn't a win-win, hand in glove, we're both making money deal. Never. And it was a lesson well learned.
Wow. Win-win. And that's something I deal with a lot with just, in the real estate business or in different businesses. You deal with guys that they want to win everything, and it's almost like they want you to work for them.
Yeah.
And I'm like you. I want to win-win. I want everybody to leave the table happy.
Right.
Because I feel like if we're equally yoked and we're like-minded, what I can do with my money and you can do with your money, I can do what I can do, you can do what you can do, and if we can come back in the future, because we had a great business dealing, we'll be able to do bigger things.
That's right.
And so, most of these people are just looking for that one big deal, one time, screw
Take it and run
everybody.
it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Take
the
it and
hit and
run.
run. And
Yep.
so,
I hate
yeah,
that, man. I really do. And I see so many people, and so many people get by with it, but they just
yeah,
don't
it's
know that they're
frustrating.
going to have the longevity, with doing business like that.
So, tell us a little bit about the RV park that you're doing here. I mean, wow. I mean, this is beautiful.
Thank you. What we're trying to create here is an experience. They call them experientials now. They have all different names. What we're going to have is I'm going to have Will Smith, Simon Cowell's, Jennifer Lopez's, and one other actor. I'm not allowed to say his name in public. I'm going to have those trailers here, and anybody can rent it for the night. We can rent it for the next 5 years. I don't care.
Okay.
And $25 a night of every one of those rentals will be donated to charity, local charity, children, sports teams. We're a big sports family. Our son was a scholarship 400 runner for Baylor University.
Okay.
So we're big on seeing children develop themselves through sports. So we want to donate money to help those kids get their shoes, get their shirts, get their whatever they need. And we also want to go into some, more poverty-stricken areas and do things for kids there. Where they need money for lunch,
Right.
This is the type of things that, it's great to buy them a pair of soccer shoes, but how about getting them something to eat? They don't have lunch, especially with COVID and everything right now.
Right.
So that's a whole program my wife wants to head up.
Okay.
She wants to take that and develop it and make that happen. So God bless her. She's a sweetheart anyway, and I would be nothing without her. I'm going to tell you that right now. I would not be sitting here if I didn't have the best wife in the whole world. Absolutely not. So,
So speaking of that, because you said impoverished areas and talking to you, and a lot of people will think, just based on some of the things we were talking about, that, you grew up just pretty much wealthy and had it all. And, speaking to you off camera, that's not the case.
no,
You really had to, as they say, pull up your bootstraps and make things happen.
I grew up in the projects. The part of the city that I grew up in, it doesn't exist. It's high-rise buildings. I was totally in the ghetto, and I totally grew up like that. I grew up in a good family. My stepfather was a good man, and he married my mother, and he treated me like his own son, and he adopted me. So I was lucky that I had somebody like that, a mentor in my life like that, to guide me and give me drive. Because I may have not had that coming from where I was from, but I had a man like that in my life that took me under his wing and showed me the right things to do in life. And then what he taught me was integrity. Because the only way you're going to succeed in business is perseverance, integrity, and a drive that's beyond anybody else. You have to have some level of intelligence. I'm not the smartest guy in the room. I'm going to tell you that right now. I am not the smart. If I walk in a room, I don't want to be the smartest guy in the room.
Me either.
I want to learn from somebody, and I'm not that guy. But what I have is perseverance, and what I have is integrity, and I'm going to do what it takes to get there. And so those are the things that I think in life that I learned from my father, and that's the key to my success.
I often have I tell people, I don't know if I heard this somewhere, or if it's just something I came up with, but I always say that we're a product of our experience and our exposure. So for you to be exposed to your stepfather that was a great man that taught you some things, I think obviously from what you just said, made a difference in your life.
It did.
And I tell people all the time that a lot of kids, don't have that. They don't have that stepfather, that family member, that mentor to guide them in the right direction. You can have all the drive in the world and really want it, but if you have that lack of direction or that mentor that you truly respect, it makes it extremely difficult. Not saying that it's not going to happen, it just makes it extremely difficult.
It does.
So for you had that, and I'm pretty sure, just based on speaking to you, you and your wife, and she was saying how your son is probably one of the most smartest people on the set,
Yeah.
and he was doing that in his first year of college,
Yep.
pretty much running actual Hollywood sets. I think you said Indiana Jones.
Yeah, yeah. He worked the.
That's huge.
Yeah, man.
That's huge.
We were filming in the desert. We
Okay.
were in the desert for 30 days, and RJ and myself and one teamster built an entire city for a camp, city camp, for Steven Spielberg, George Lucas, Kathleen Kennedy, uh, she's Frank Marshall, Kate Blanchett, Harrison Ford, all in the middle of the desert. No power. We tapped in off the power lines, the grid, brought in power, and we provided our own security. I had giant big lights flash outside every night, flooding the desert so nobody could come. I watched every package. My son and I opened every package that came in there. Because can you imagine having that powerhouse of people and then some nut job throws a grenade at the campfire? That would have more impact than some of the wars we've had,
I agree.
you know?
Yeah.
And so that responsibility was not taken lightly in any way, shape, or form. Of course, they had their own security force too, but their security force wasn't around all the time. You know, we're setting up the camp and then they're coming in.
Right.
So, but good people. I mean, Steven is a great guy. He's a great individual. He has a fantastic son who I became friends with. And all really, really appreciated what we did for him.
Okay.
You know?
So, what other movies? I mean, I know you've worked on a lot of movie sets. Which one was the best? I mean, I won't say the best. Give me a couple of them that you had the most fun on.
Well, I had a lot of fun on Indiana Jones. You know, I basically quit working as a driver as my company built up. You know, I didn't have time to go spend 4 months, you know, in some location doing movies. But they had asked me to come back and take care of Harrison and stuff like that. You know, I had developed a good reputation with Melanie Griffith and Don Johnson and Sly Stallone and I mean, all the rock and roll guys. I don't know who I didn't haul in the rock and roll ward with 50 buses. Um, you know, I knew people knew I could trust me.
Right.
You know? And I know their most intimate secrets because I lived there with them.
You just said, and another guy that I can't mention. So just that alone, just we were sitting here on camera, people would, you know, sometimes say, well, you know, such and such, you know. And so just to know that you have that confidentiality is something that people obviously know that they can trust you.
Yeah.
You know, so
there is no amount of money to make me talk. Yeah, it's not going to happen. It's not. Money's not that important to me.
I want to know
money's
who
not
this other
important
guy
to me
is.
at all, anyway. So.
Hey, we want to know who this other guy is.
Can't do that.
I'm messing with you, man. I'm messing with you. So we're looking at this. I mean, I'm thinking a 560-acre movie studio, the largest in the United States, and I think probably the largest in the world. I couldn't find another one that was bigger. You've had some major accomplishments in your life, and you know you and your wife are extremely vibrant, youthful, and you seem like you're just enjoying life to the fullest. What could possibly be next? Once you get this studio done, I mean, what's next?
You know what? The Celebrity RV Resorts and Line 204 Studio is probably going to be the end of the line for me. I'm ready to slow down now. I want to work with Alton and work the studio, and it's going to take us a long time to build that out. You know, I'm 69 years old now.
Okay.
How much harder do I want to work in my life, and longer? I need to spend time with my wife. My wife wants to travel. I need to take her and travel. She earns it. She deserves it. So this is going to be our last hurrah, you know, and all reality.
His wife made sangria. It's pretty good. She made us sangria. I don't normally drink sangria, but this is pretty good.
It is good. She does have
homemade
a special formula.
So, in closing, you know, as I told you, this is more of a business, entrepreneurial podcast that I'm doing, and I try to give people insight to, you know, how they can grow their business, you know, just inspiration on to keep pushing, keep going to make things happen. What do you feel or just kind of give us some fundamentals of good business, and you know what's worked for you, and you know what's worked for you may not work for everybody, but at least let's figure out what's worked for you and give us some kind of understanding and a little bit of recommendation for some guys that are young, just starting out, or even a guy that's older starting out.
First of all, perseverance is the key. I mean, you have to be able and willing to give what it takes to get the job done. If you think you can work an 8-hour day and be truly, really, really super successful, probably not going to happen.
Okay.
You know, I mean, you do need to work smarter than I did. You know, I truly believe that I could have worked smarter, but that came with knowledge with time and experience. If I go back and do it, you can always go back and say, oh, I could have done this and done it faster. But you got to learn that, you know, or you got to listen to somebody. There's a lot of things older guys are willing to share with you, and all you have to do is ask, and they will do that. Most successful businessmen are very willing to share those little secrets that they've learned along the way. Integrity is everything, because the minute you lose that confidence in you, you're done. If nobody believes you, how are you going to sell them something? How are you going to do something for them? How are they going to hire you if they think you don't have integrity? You know, you're not. So each day when you're trying to build yourself, you have to think, how can this come out wrong? Because you may not mean for something to come out wrong, but it still comes out wrong. And you look like you lied. Well, you know, you didn't lie, but somebody lied to you, and you told somebody something because that person lied to you.
I deal with that.
Like, we've all been there.
Yeah, and but they only know you. They don't know the other person that you're depending on. So it looks like it's all you. You're not being truthful. You're not being forthcoming.
So cover your butt. Cover your butt. Know that the guy told you that he had 500 widgets in his warehouse ready to sell. You go, really? Well, everybody wants one of those. So you go out and sell those 500 widgets, and you go back to that guy, and he goes, well, I mean, I got them coming in 3 months. No, that's not what you said. So if you're going to sell 500 widgets for a guy and he tells you got them, you need to go to the warehouse and see that he's got those 500 widgets, and then go sell them. So check your information. Don't just rely on people's word to tell you something. Go verify. Have some type of knowledge as to what the background on the person you're dealing with is.
I've done that. I've had that experience on several occasions. One occasion, you know how this goes. You get a little bit of success, and people start to bring you all these great ideas, and you kind of like, okay, that will work. And I was in that situation. Guy bought me this huge oil deal, and I'm looking at all the paperwork. It's great, but I did not verify was it there or not. So when I did my part to get it done, basically I lost about $500,000.
Yep.
Because I put up some non-refundable money that I was totally trusting on somebody else.
Yep.
And so I totally understand exactly what you're saying. And I think for you guys, you know, the viewers, to really take that advice to heart. Trust but verify. Doesn't mean that you're not, you know, it's not a knock that when you say, I need to see. That's not a knock on the person. It doesn't mean I don't trust you. It just means that in order for me to protect my integrity, I need to make sure you have exactly what you have. I need to make sure you can do exactly what you say you can do. Because the people I'm talking to don't know you. I'm representing you, but I'm representing me. And in doing so, if you don't do what you say you're going to do, the representation of me is ruining my reputation.
Right.
So
take the time, you know, don't just go back and check stuff. You know, it's not that hard, man, compared to the outcome if it goes the other way.
So, I mean, mainly, you know, I wanted to sit down and talk to you about the studio because I'm excited, you know, just getting an opportunity to just ride across it and look at the land and just looking at, you know, just in Austin. I mean, I wish it was in Houston. You know, I'm H-Town all the way, man. But I don't think you could have found that type of land right outside of Houston.
Not with 2.5 miles on the Colorado River. That's for sure.
And then, 2.5 miles on the Colorado River. Beautiful piece of land, but I think you got Tesla here, you got Apple here, you've got Amazon here that has moved here. So this is becoming a tech hub, and now it's going to also not only be a tech hub right here, mm-hmm. It's also going to have the largest movie studio possibly in the world, definitely in the United States. So, you know.
We got the largest plant, Tesla plant, As a matter of fact, you spun that camera around, you could see probably the lit up cranes. That's how close it is.
Wow.
And we have the largest movie studio all in Austin, Texas.
Austin, y'all balling. H-Town, we got to catch up, man. So, in closing, is there anything else that you'd like to say about the studio or anything else that you're doing?
Well, I guess, my appreciation to Alton Butler, the owner of Line 204, for letting me be part of it.
Okay.
I think that's, like I said, we've been best friends for 15 years, but we've never done business because I own all my business. He owns all his business.
Okay.
Neither one of us are a partner guys. And we're coming into this sharing, and I appreciate the fact that he's allowing me to do that. I appreciate the fact that my wife is allowing me to do that because it's going to take a lot of time away from her. And, but after almost 40 years with her, she understands, she gets it.
40 years.
Yeah. How many of you can say that?
Yeah, not many.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? My parents have been, they've been married 49 years now.
Yeah.
No, 48 years.
Yeah.
So, yeah, not many people can say that.
Not many people can say that.
So
I'm lucky.
You are lucky.
I am. You met her. You know I'm lucky.
I met her. You're lucky. And I'm going to tell y'all, man, I'm lucky just to get out here, get an opportunity to sit and have a conversation with Mr. Anderson, to be able to sit in his home. And also I brought my younger son here, and to have my younger son be exposed to some of these things is definitely shaping his mind to the possibilities of what can happen in life. And so I thank you for that. And in closing, all I can say is watch out. Texas is on the map. We're coming on this studio, this movie studio, man. And thank you guys for watching. We out on the boardroom.